Hello and welcome to Entrepreneurship in Another Perspective. This course was developed by Mr. Nicholas Spielman in 2007-2008 in conjunction with cooperation with Universitas Dianapura. It is a multidisciplinary course teaching you the basics of entrepreneurship in another perspective. In my particular course, I will teach you about entrepreneurship in another perspective as developed by Mr. Spielman. In this video material, we will talk about entrepreneurship in another perspective and as it relates to entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship that builds on to become or to create what we call IAP today. Upon completing this video course and doing the assignments later, you will be able to define IAP as it relates to the concepts of entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, elaborate on the key concepts, i.e., the four anchors or four pillars of entrepreneurship in another perspective, and reflect on the application of these four anchors or four pillars in your daily lives. Before we move along to the other more complex issues and contemporary issues surrounding entrepreneurship in another perspective and how it relates to social entrepreneurship, how it relates to triple bottom line, how it relates to for benefit organizations, and so on as we move along in the semester. But first, let us start. All right, we are here to learn about IAP and how it relates to the concept of entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. Let's begin with some basics of economics. Economics is a study of choice, how people make choices to optimize their well being. It is based on the idea of scarcity, in which humans have unlimited wants but limited resources. Something is scarce, that means it is insufficient by the current demand. It doesn't mean we're really lacking, we're in hunger or anything. There's just not enough to go around. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough of everything. How do we deal with this? We deal with this by making choices, by allocating what we call our resources. There are four types of resources in econ. First is land or natural resources. Second is labor or human resources. Third is capital. This capital is the resource that we can use to produce other things, other products. So in economics, we have two different types of expenditures, consumption expenditures and capital expenditures. When we talk about consumption expenditures, it's for something that we finish by ourselves, right? But when we talk about capital, it's something that we consume to produce other things. That's capital. It begets other things. It creates more things. And lastly is entrepreneurship. Now, what is entrepreneurship in this idea of economics and where is it going? Entrepreneurship is a loan word from French. It's an entrepreneur and ship. The ending ship means concept, like relationship, entrepreneurship, something like this. Means person, like a chauffeur or masseur. Entrepreneur means the ending means person. And pren comes from the French word prendre, which means to take. Then entre means between. With these keywords, we can say that an entrepreneurship is a concept about persons or individuals who take something. What do they take? Well, they take two things. First, they take opportunities, and then they take risks. And they act in between, which means they connect. What do they connect? They connect the three other resources as mentioned before: natural resources, connecting human resources, and connecting capital resources. So this is the ingenuity that entrepreneurship has to create jobs, to create opportunities, and to create possibilities for the economy to grow, for society to grow, either financially, economically, and so on. Then what about entrepreneurship as a concept? It is a concept about an individual who acts in between or to connect resources, to take risks and responsibility in realizing certain opportunities in order to create value. They don't have to create something new all the time. They just have to create something valuable enough with just noticeable difference than the other products that are out there, the other things, products and services, goods that are out there. They create businesses, they create endeavors, they create projects, and so on. Value doesn't have to be new, it has to be valuable. And it doesn't have to be valuable for everyone. It just has to be valuable for those who are targeted in the market, for the target market. And thus the saying, you can't be everything to everyone. Entrepreneurs have to make choices. First, they have to forego steady income of or paycheck. So, and entrepreneurs have personal income is not yet guaranteed, so they have to take that financial risk, personal financial risk. Then they have to sacrifice personal capital, oftentimes, to start a new business, and they have to rely on cash flow for the daily activity. They struggle with the daily necessities unless they already have a lot of capital built up, or maybe they can get angel investors or something like this. They have to make choices and forecasting what the popular interest is. What is the trend? Whether or not they are riding the wave, whether or not they are late into coming into the game. Let's say an entrepreneur who wants to open a coffee shop. Is it too late? Is the market too saturated? Is there still an opportunity in the market? In which niche, where, and so on? They have to begin to trust key employees in order to do the business, because you cannot do all of this alone, definitely, and rely on the cash flow. It is critical. Entrepreneurs take many different types of risks. Financial risks, they have to put their own skin in the game, as opposed to someone who is just working in a company. They have to put their own money in the game, and they, of course, they also have to risk bankruptcy. And then the second one is strategic risk, because changes in the business environment can mean that if the chosen strategy is wrong, then the company might struggle in performing its and meeting its key performance indicator. They have to also take technology risk. In order to be competitive, they have to invest heavily on certain systems or technologies, which could definitely be quite a lot of money. And whether this technology will pay off, or whether this technology will actually accelerate and they get left behind really quickly, it's really difficult to say. It's a risk to take. They have to take market risks, because they have to perform thorough market analysis. They assess the market, and a lot of times, many small scale entrepreneurs don't do this because they have an idea and they just run with it without doing enough market research, the research for the demand and consumer behavior. Even so, even with sufficient market research and the research for the demand of the customers, risks still exist, let alone if someone doesn't do their research. They have to do competitive risk, because entrepreneurs should always be aware about their competitors. They will innovate and competitors will innovate too. They don't exist, they don't operate in a vacuum. So they really have to take this risk and always compete, always innovate. And lastly, the external risk of environmental, political, and economic risks. Let's say if you just open a business, a coffee shop, it's really great, it's really grand, it's your dream, and you opened it in March 2020. Just as the world is going into lockdowns with the pandemic of COVID-19, wouldn't be just terrible. That it is the risk that you are willing to take. Sometimes timing can become risky. Whether or not you are doing it right, it is the risk that the entrepreneurs have to take. So that's entrepreneurship. What about intrapreneurship? Well, entrepreneurship is the active person who create and innovate new business, venture, they create value, focusing on profit, because in order to move the company that they create to create new jobs and make the economy better and society better, they have to make a profit. They have to be profit oriented. There is risk and reward. That's entrepreneurship. By contrast, an intrapreneurship is someone who is having the qualities of entrepreneurship, meaning being able to take risks, being able to look at an opportunity, being able to look at a challenge as an opportunity to move forward with a new business venture and so on. But they exist within the confines of an organization. They exist within a company. They don't create their own business. This can happen if they work in companies that allow for this kind of things. Intrapreneurship, having entrepreneurs inside of the company, with research and development of new products, and so on. They are taking risks, but not with their own money, but other people's money. In this case, the company's money. But if they do succeed, then the company get quite a bit of the cut of that. They don't get to keep it for themselves, but it's shared with the company because they're using the company's resources to develop these new products. All right. Intrapreneurship, intra means inside. Intrapreneurship meaning taking initiatives within existing units of an organization, whether it be R&D or new product development and so on. The introduction of intrapreneurship was to create innovation and or product improvement within existing companies. So according to Gifford Pinchot, this is a person within a large corporation who takes direct responsibility for fine-tuning an idea into a profitable finished product that is marketable through assertive risk-taking and innovation. Gifford Pinchot is one of the first person to coin the term intrapreneurship back in the 1970s. So let's just go by his definition. Okay, it is mentioned in the previous slides with intrapreneurship, the word innovation. With entrepreneurship, there is also a need for innovation, definitely. Innovation is a creation of new product, service, process, or system that adds value to society, to human life, from the first glimmer of the idea to the successful implementation of that idea. Now, in order to have innovation, you have to have people to create the innovation and also to nurture the innovation within the company, especially if you are entrepreneur or within the small business that is created by entrepreneurs or whether they'll be big business as well. There needs to be people involved in innovation. The first of the five people of innovation is the people with ideas. People who come up with the ideas. This is the idea persons. Definitely have friends or people you know who are like this. They are full of ideas, generating ideas. We need this person. The second is the intrapreneurs. They don't just stop with the ideas, but they are the dreamers who do. They try to put their ideas into fruition, into prototypes and products and so on. Now, mind you that the people with the idea can be at the same time entrepreneurs, but they don't have to be. So these five individuals or these five different types of people involved in innovation, they can overlap one another or they can be separate people. Then you need an entrepreneurial team, one for marketing, one for research, one for manufacturing, for instance. It's just an interdepartmental team. It should be multidisciplinary to help you gauge what is possible with the entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs in this case. Then we need a sponsor to create the space to work independently, to be allowed to do this independently, to be coming up with innovations and so on. At the decision making level, at the policy level, at the suite level, the executive suite, we need the climate maker, people to create the climate or the culture in which the employees can be innovative, can work on their entrepreneurship projects and so on. Places like Google, for instance, a lot of places who are started as startups and they are in the technology company, they create a climate or a culture of innovation. But it doesn't have to be just tech companies. Anyone can create this climate if they commit to letting the company become an innovative company. All right. Next, intrapreneur and intrapreneurship in another perspective. While intrapreneur in its traditional sense is a person who works in a large corporation to create a profitable idea into finished products through innovation, intrapreneurship in another perspective, on the other hand, the intra in IAP means intra within ourselves, not within an organization. So this is someone who is visionary, creative, responsible, eco-sustainable, innovative entrepreneurs for tomorrow's small businesses and services. It doesn't have to be in a large corporation. IAP the intra has to do with you, as I will explain further. Entrepreneurship, in another perspective, is capable and willing to act innovatively in a responsible economic way to contribute significantly to a sustainable, peaceful environment in which humanitarian equity, respect, and service are the essential features. This is the definition from Mr. Nicholas Spielman, created this course. So please pay attention to this and also be able to kind of reflect on this and make it into your own definition, which we will do as we move along in this semester. And there is going to be an assignment for you to do and create your own definition, to innovate on your own definition of what is IAP. because IAP is an open concept. This is just the basic of it. Then it is what you make of it. So I would like to just mention of the definition. It is a long definition. There are some keywords you can apply or like put together and use these keywords to kind of create your own interpretation of it, your own definition, your own understanding that you make of it what you yourself make of it with the entire course of IAP and all the other things that you are learning together here, whether it be from our books, our readings, The World Without Three Zeros, capitalism and how what it means. We talk about East and West and culture and context with Bali, Indonesia, and so on. These are the five keywords of entrepreneurship in another perspective. First, there is the social responsibility, which means it's the responsibility for others, other people. You are not just responsible for profit or for yourself, but being responsible for others in the social setting, others around you. There is the idea of innovation, creating something meaningful that is of value, creating something further on that has economic value that can make society better and so on. Because innovation is a step above invention. Invention is just something nice to have, but innovation is this something nice that can be applied in people's lives to make people's lives better and or to make money out of it, to create jobs, to create opportunities, and to create a better society. It also has to do with sustainability. How what we do now dictates how we deal with the future, allowing our children and grandchildren to still inherit this world intact. Sustainability. Then there is human equity. How can we appreciate other human beings? How can we appreciate human resources, not just as any other resources that is disposable, but something really essential for us, essential for our being, essential for our company that we create. If you are creating a company, essential to the projects or whatever you are doing, the human element and the humanity values should be really essential there. And lastly, there is the element of service. What you do, it's not just about you gaining the benefit for yourselves or your company that you create, but it's as a service for others as well, and could be as a service for the environment. Okay, another thing that's important, another thing that's really important to pay attention that within this entrepreneurship in another perspective, be it you can define it however you want, but there are four main things to know. There are four pillars or four anchors, which are going on your own strength, spirituality, meta economics, and small business. Let's begin with going on your own strength. In going on your own strengths, we go back to the intra, the person, what you are, and everyone is a manager to his and her uniqueness, his and her strengths and weaknesses. What can you offer? It is about looking into what you can do and what you have in order for you to be something, in order for you to be a benefit for society, to be something inspirational for others, and so on. So we all are not that special, but we have our talents and we can build on these talents, going on your own strengths, meaning recognizing your talents and strengths and building upon this to create something that can be related to you, something that you can be passionate about because it started with you, starts with your strengths, starts with your passion, and going forward from there. Next is spirituality. For many people, spirituality relates definitely to religiosity, to religion, but it doesn't have to be like this. Spirituality is the idea when you let go of your ego or the I, you attribute this world into something. It can be from your inner self, it can be from universe, it can be from God, whatever you would like to believe. Spirituality is basically it is based on something greater than just you. So it's not just us being selfish or egotistical, but it's us being a part of this world, this universe, this society. It has to do with love, being able to love one another, to love the environment, and so on, to love God. There has to do with compassion, patience, tolerance, harmony, forgiveness, responsibility, and concerns for things that's not just us. Concern for other people, concern for maybe if you believe in the deity, or if you believe in religion, concern for that, concern for the environment, and so on. Spirituality doesn't necessarily mean religiosity. Then there is the idea of meta economics. Meta economics is the idea that economics as if people matter. As I mentioned in econ, there are four types of resources: land, labor, or human resources, and also capital and entrepreneurship. Oftentimes, if we look at it from conventional economics, all resources should be treated the same. This is how rationally we should think in economics. If we need anything, everything is interchangeable, everything is disposable, including all natural resources and human resources. But in meta economics, we place the value of human beings as if people matter more, that people should matter in our decisions. We don't just make decisions based on what can make us the biggest profits. We should also look into how this will affect our people that work for us, the people around us, and so on. But at the end, it should also be about the environment, how we affect the planet. So, economics as if people matter, economics as if the planet matters. This is really essential to meta economics because we should take this more into account, take it more seriously, putting a greater emphasis on looking at our surrounding, not just what brings the best to our company, the highest profits, the greatest profitability, and so on, but also to our society, our environment, and this world. So meta economics is about humanizing the economics, injecting the values of humanity and environmentalism and sustainability to account for imperative sustainable environment. That includes elements of moral philosophy, psychology, anthropology, sociology, environmental protection, and so on, not just about profit maximization. And lastly, it's about small businesses. In entrepreneurship, in another perspective, we tend to focus on small businesses because in small business, you can matter more. So basically, it's all about creating an impact. We want to matter. In a small business, people matter. There is more freedom, more commitment. People can develop their own talents, thus going on your own strength, and there should be more opportunities to contribute. If we depict IAP, the four anchors of it, in a picture like this, a pictogram, meta economics should go in the middle, and all the other three elements are supporting it. At the end of this course, I would like for you to reflect first on the definition of entrepreneurship in another perspective. Start looking into this more and more. So, going into this semester, you will be able to create your own definitions of IAP. But then, for now, the reflection question is look into the four anchors of IAP. Comment on at least one of them. The four anchors being meta economics in the middle, spirituality, small business, and going on your own strength. Comment on at least one of these and reflect how can you relate this into your own daily existence. Because before we move on and we try to become an entrepreneur or intrapreneur in another perspective, we have to look into ourselves first. Look into these one of these four, or maybe one more than one of these four concepts, and comment on how you apply this in your daily life. Okay, I will post this and we will do it in our learning management system. All right, that's it for now. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next unit.